This is where I leave you. So, tonight I have a message for anyone that feels like they're stuck, like they're drained, like they've been carrying on something mentally, spiritually, emotionally that is no longer serving them or never served them in the first place. And tonight I want to talk about uprooting and also reframing the different pains and experiences and emotions that we've had in our lives. So, as I wait for you guys to get on, I'm just gonna, of course, like all time, give you a little story or analogy to make it all make sense. And in this season, where a lot of us are in a season of surrendering, a season of detoxing, a season of really focusing in on these last few months of the year, I think it's important that we take inventory of our lives and we truly audit our thoughts, audit our environments, audit our friendships, audit our routine, and be honest with ourselves and see what serves us. And then also be honest with ourselves and see where we need to literally give things to God and let it go. So, the analogy that I'm going to use is when Rusty and I first moved to our house in Louisiana. We actually bought my grandparents' house, and there were so many things about it, obviously, that I love because that's where my roots are. That's where, I grew up next door. So all of my memories with my family, all of my memories as a little girl, they were all there. But there were things that were important for me to keep. And then there were things that I just knew I didn't want them anymore. So one of those things was the banana trees. And I remember one evening, Rusty and I just cut them all down, pulled them out, and we just thought we'd never see them again, right? Time passes, and when I tell you these trees came back and sprouted with a vengeance, you'd swear we didn't do any work at all. No matter how much time had passed, when it came back stronger, and it came back like it never left. And that's how I think about anger, pain, offense, insecurity. Whenever we deal with maybe self-control, not being reactive, we deal with how we present ourselves, maybe the way we articulate ourselves, but we don't truly uproot or address what happened to us, what happened within our heart or within our mind. And then it comes back and you have this weight, not only like it never left, but like it's even heavier than it was before. So I'm going to read a page from my book, One Still Whisper, because I told you guys that I would last week. But I think it's important for us to understand that what we go through, whether it's positive, negative, whether it's something that we planned, whether it's the consequences of our actions, everything is sitting aloud in our lives for a greater reason. And it's so easy to say that when we're winning. It's so easy to say that when there's peace and calm, but it's very difficult to acknowledge or even come close to accepting that when you feel like you're in a season of waiting, like you're in a season of battle, when you're in a season of being mistreated or misunderstood or mishandled. Those words don't really feel the same because you're trying to weather the storm as you're in it. So on page 63, I wrote, "It's pain that repositions you. You needed to fall so you could find peace in the realization that perfection is unrealistic and unattainable. You needed to fail to realize that humans make mistakes and can be messy, but still have meaning. Those friends and family members needed to speak on you or come against you so you could realize it was time to remove yourself from relationships and environments that lacked loyalty and love for you, no matter who it was. You needed to hit rock bottom to realize that God is the only one who can truly lift you back up to where you belong. You needed to get lost to truly find your way. That hurt led to healing, and that healing changed your life and mindset. Let go of regret and latch on to the lessons those experiences left for you. Don't waste the revelations, redirect, and rise from it all." I wrote this in 2023. And if you do not have One Still Whisper and you don't know where it really came from, I'd say I look at things as quarters, right? That's just business mindset. Q4 of 2022 was really when I was accepting that I was coming out of that season of being still. And if you've ever been in that spiritual season, you realize that everything, everyone seems like they are pushing you. And you either are going to be one of God's greatest soldiers or a no limit soldier. That's really what it feels like. And I just felt so much, and I didn't act, I didn't react. And it wasn't for that season. Mind you, my season of being still lasted like 5 years. So as I'm coming out of it, I'm very mindful of praying. Like, I don't do these prayers like some people do, and it's just like a quick 2-second thing. I'm very descriptive. I'm very detailed. I'm very honest, especially if I feel like I'm trying to rid myself of something. I'm not going to give the whole, oh, God, give me a sign prayer. I'm going to say, God, reveal to me anything in me that is toxic, that is not like you, that is a hindrance in my life or in the lives of other people, that is not conducive to my growth, well-being, or healing. God, reveal to me any person who does not have my best interests at heart, that lies to me, that gossips about me, that doesn't love me or truly see me as you do. And I will be very descriptive. And one of the things I said was, God, I don't care who it is or how it hurts. I promise I will not react, but I need to know. And when I tell you, it felt like 2022 was just one long test. And it was a beautiful year, right? I mean, that's the year I released The Tears That Taught Me. That's the year it started. It was number one. It's been number one on Amazon and poetry since then. But it was a huge year. Doors were opening for me. I was in rooms that I never thought I would be in. But then here I was still dealing with the spiritual side, still dealing with trying to get this revelation and then trying to properly manage it. And when I got out of that, and it was January 1st, January 2nd, it felt like all this weight of not just like the past few years, of just life was on my shoulders. It felt like every offense I ever had towards another person, every mistake I'd ever made or poor choice I'd ever made was on my mind. Anything heavy was somehow very present for me. And I did the Daniel fast, which is a 21-day fast. And I ended up really addressing a lot of those strongholds, insecurities, traumas, anger. And I wrote this book. But I say all of that to say, we're going to go through difficult challenges in life. We are going to have situations where we are just at a loss for words. We're going to have situations where we think one thing is going to happen and the exact opposite is going to happen. We're going to have situations where we expect for people to show up for us like we showed up for them, and they are nowhere to be found. Or if they are found, they are actually enjoying the pain that you're exhibiting, or they're contributing to it. It's not a pleasant conversation to have. It's not one of those happy realizations that we're going to come to. But until we're honest with ourselves and honest with other people that that's reality, that that's life, that that's the spiritual walk, that weight is going to be a lot heavier because we're not addressing it. We're trying to just push it to the side or act like we're unbothered, or it doesn't affect us like it truly does. And that's only going to let it fester and linger and impact us longer. So tonight, again, my whole message is the importance of uprooting and reframing. And instead of seeing the offense, instead of seeing the condemnation, the fear, the anger, we have to see the lessons that stand behind them. We have to see how much we grew mentally, spiritually, emotionally from certain experiences, from enduring certain emotions. We have to look at people that hurt us deeply, knowingly and unknowingly, and realize that they are flawed people just like us. If we are people that want grace and mercy and forgiveness, we have to forgive people, even if they never realize that they hurt us, even if they never apologize to us, even if they never see things the way that we do. Because holding on to what happened, holding on to what was said, holding on to how you felt back then is only robbing you of your peace now. So, and I don't know if I said this earlier, but in all lives, I'm open for questions or any topics you want to talk about. But I say that because I feel that so heavily. And I would not be transparent if I didn't tell you that I still deal with things. I feel like as I heal and as I grow, I don't like using that phrase, but they'll say new levels, new devils, right? So as you learn, as you heal, as you self-assess, it's kind of like an onion. There's layers. So yes, I've overcome this. Yes, I've grown from that. Yes, my perspective has changed. But now that I've handled adulthood, now I have to look back to childhood and address those things. Or now that I'm in this space and I'm not in survival mode, I have to understand, well, why is my response to trauma fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever it may be? The journey does not end whenever you're healing and learning. There's no such thing as you never have a single problem again in your life. There's no such thing as, you're going to pray and fast one time and then nothing is ever going to trigger you or upset you. That's not reality. And I think that if we can be honest with ourselves, if we can hold ourselves accountable, but also give ourselves grace and compassion, it makes that part of the healing journey that much better, because we realize, like everybody else, we're human. So I'm going to read another page. If you have a question, again, I see people here, ask me anything. If you want to say anything or ask a question, or if there's a certain topic, because again, I do this is your time. But I think it's important to start having these conversations openly, to start saying the uncomfortable thing, to start saying, yes, I still struggle with this, no matter how much I've grown, no matter how much my faith has bolstered, no matter how much therapy, whatever it is. There has to be a point where you tell yourself, okay, well, now that I'm here, or now that I understand that I'm still growing, how could I be that person that I needed? How can I be that safe person that I needed, or be a safe person for anyone? So let me get another page while you guys, and let me go to here because I'm going back and forth. Okay. Okay, well, this page is 117. And just like I said, no, we can't go back in time to change how anything went down, but we can certainly apply our lessons, share our testimonies, and appreciate the fact that forgiveness not only took the pain from our chest, but also that unnecessary weight off of our shoulders. And I think one of the things too that helps with forgiveness of self or forgiveness of others, is understanding that forgiveness, of course, it happens in layers. But forgiveness is forgiving what is, what happened. And maybe I'm just talking for myself, but one of the issues I had with forgiveness was I forgive, but I'm still holding on to the fact that that wasn't right. I'm still holding on to the fact that there was no clarity there. I'm still holding on to the fact that there was no conversation. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very hard to forgive and forget when you want to forgive what is, but you're holding on to hope of what should have been or what should be. It's a mind game that you have with yourself. And then you sit there and you ask yourself, am I even a forgiving person? Did I even forgive this offense? Did I even move forward from this? Am I even healing, or whatever it may be? But it's to say, this has happened. And whether the world sees it, whether this person acknowledges it, whether I beat myself up over it, if it's something that I did to another person or myself, it is what it is. What has happened, and we cannot redo anything in life, but we definitely can reframe it. So So let's see. This person says, I don't know if this is relevant, but I'm still struggling with a breakup where the other person didn't feel the same way and basically lied during the relationship. I forgave him, but it still lingers. And in knowing that, do you feel, and this is an odd question, but this is something that I've asked myself over the years whenever I feel stuck on something of, are you, and I just lost it reading this. What's that? Do you feel like a lot of that lingering anger or whatever it is comes from the fact that you see that person as lying to you, as you can't trust other people, or that you can no longer trust yourself? It's a weird question, but let me dive into it because it helped me kind of unpack some things. It's very difficult when we feel like we want to be real with people. We want to be transparent with people, or we are. And then you realize that person isn't being transparent with you, or they're not viewing your situation as is, right? And for a long time, at least for me, I would look at it like, oh, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust friends. I don't trust family. But you just don't trust anybody, right? Because that's kind of like a response to stress. But as time went on, I realized it wasn't even me not trusting people. It was me not trusting myself, because I had this thing of, if I was as intelligent as I thought I was, if I was as empathetic or aware as I thought I was, I would have caught that. I wouldn't have thought this. I wouldn't have trusted this or trusted them. So all that time I was angry with them, but in actuality, I felt like I let myself down. And I think that's the interesting thing about healing that wound with trust, whether it's friends, family, or yourself. It's realizing that we can't control other people. We can't control if the people that we care about, we consider our friends and family, coworker, whatever. We can't control what they do and say, how they react, how they speak to us or they speak about us. We can't make them love us or reciprocate anything. And I think the hard thing sometimes is accepting that their views or where they position us is not in alignment with our views of them or how we position them. So I don't know if I've answered or if I've brought any clarity, but I think that's something that a lot of us experience, but we don't know how to articulate it because it's so many emotions that it's almost a numbness. Exactly. I don't trust myself because I feel like I'm always going back to them, even though everything between me and him weren't the best, but it wasn't the worst. Look, and we do that. We do that to ourselves. We do that with family. We do that again in relationships, friendships. It's that holding on, right? And just how I started this, and I literally wrote down, this is the part I leave it behind. Let me tell you what holding on will do to you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. It will not only drag you, it will not only drain you, but it will change the way you think and see you. It will change the way that you move forward. Like, and I said that in a prayer today, like I refuse to be waiting in a season that I'm winning. I refuse. I refuse to hold on or leave room for anything or anyone that is not assigned to or aligned with my life, period. I refuse to make excuses for myself to hold on to any negative emotions, anger, resentment, regret, whatever it may be. I refuse to do that because I realize that I have done that for so long in different ways by addressing this bubble, but completely alienating this one, that I can't and you can't fully walk into any season and be productive and truly walk in your purpose if your mind, your heart, your spirit, and everything is in another place. How can we do that? So I'm leaving it. I'm putting it down. I'm no longer waiting for something miraculous to happen. If it didn't happen, or if I prayed for it and like, God, make this or make them or make me, and he did not answer that prayer, that's not him hurting me. That's him. No answer is an answer. So it's accepting that. I'm just reading the comments. People are interesting. But yeah, that's just where it is. Thank you. Yeah, that's where it is. And does anyone else feel that way? Do you feel, because that's one of the things too I've noticed with a lot of people, everyone feels almost like this shift, this almost like there's a line in the sand, or there's this push or being drawn to just release and let go and, move forward. Let me see. Been really struggling with a former friend that's repeatedly been bashing my character. I've been taking the high road, but it's been mentally burning me out. I have been there, and I will tell you this. It is extremely difficult, and I'm reading very clearly the words that you're using, a former friend that has been bashing your character, and you're trying to, and the thing about taking the high road and taking the spiritual road and trying to do the emotionally intelligent thing is that emotional intelligence is non-detectable to foolish people. Discretion and discernment don't exist to people that create drama or fuel drama. So they'll take your silence, your distance, as an admission of guilt. They'll take it as a sign of weakness. They'll take it as, well, if she had something to say, she would correct it. And that's not how people operate. That's not how people that are trying to heal operate. That's not how people that value their peace and know who they are operate. And that's an extremely difficult time to go through. But seeing that you're in that season, I just want to encourage you to look at this whole experience as a detox for you. Because whether you want to see it like that or not, that's exactly what it is. If you've ever wanted to see who your true friends are, if you ever wanted the motives and intentions of your family members to be revealed, if you've ever wanted to see where your insecurities and weak spots are, let someone bash your character. Let someone lie on you. Let people run with that. You will learn so much about yourself, about your environment, about who your people are. You'll learn all that. And you'll just have to sit back and not say a word because all the information is going to be given to you. But I say that and also acknowledge too that you have to give yourself permission to feel. And you also have to give yourself permission to not speak at times when there's so much to say. You have to trust that discernment and look at a situation or look at a conversation or a person and say, I have so much to say. I could make your head spin, but I'm going to protect my peace. But I'm not going to, cast my pearls before swine. But I'm not going to create more drama or tell my problems to people that enjoy seeing me with problems. So it's a difficult experience and it's heartbreaking. But you just have to remember that you cannot see yourself through the lens of lies. You cannot hold on to things that people throw at you or respond to names people call you if that's not who or what you are. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be a lot of crime. There's going to be a lot of revelation. But I promise you, when you get out of that season, especially if you feel that God is telling you to be still in that season, you are going to win. You're going to win the overall spiritual battle, but you have to tie your heart because you are about to lose a lot of fleshly battles. You're about to have your eyes open and your heart broken. But even that, I've learned, is almost like a prerequisite for purpose. How are you going to be used by God if you're not used by people? I heard that one time and it changed my perspective on a lot of things. How are you going to put yourself out there and not be weighed or bogged down with the fence if every single thing someone says to you offends you. Like, I'm to a point, I'm be honest with you, I tell this people all the time. On social media, I don't even get rid of what people will say crazy things. That's every platform. That's every, if you're a woman, especially, someone is going to say something wild. Someone literally did a few minutes ago on this live. But if you get to a place where you experience your family, your friends, your peers, people you trusted, people you protected, if you go through a season where all those people call you things and they don't call you, if they treat you poorly and you feel like you've treated them, if you go through seasons like that, that's preparation. That's not rejection. And every single person I know, almost every motivational speaker I know, has gone through seasons like that where they've been still and quiet, and now their purpose is to be, using their voice or showing up. And I think a lot of that comes too of, number one, learning to have discernment of who your friends are, or the situations you put yourself in, or the optics. But also, we always say we need to trust God, but God needs to trust us. He needs to trust us that if someone comes at us sideways, that we're not going to lose it, that we're not going to curse them out with the mouth that we're supposed to be using to encourage people. He has to know too that what we're doing is working. So I think that is something that we can keep in mind. And I'm gonna go back because I realized I missed a few things. So true. I've been accused of being non-confrontational because I don't want to cause drama. Thank you for your kind words and understanding. Yeah. And there's non-confrontational, and then there's that's none of your business. People don't have to open up their lives and their situations to prove that they're not non-confrontational. If that's not someone's business, why do they need to know that? I don't believe in that. And it sounds like you're the same way. I don't believe in putting all my business out there and trying to campaign or prove something to someone when it's not their business. So no, don't ever feel bad about doing that. Chasing others is something that shouldn't be done. I'm trying to learn that. So I pray that God will provide me the strength to be able to do that. And he will. Yeah. I'm reading the comments. I'm sorry, guys. I've bought a few books of yours, but what is the one you have now I'd like to purchase? So this is One Still Whisper. And I have 6 books, but this is One Still Whisper. And this book is really for that person on their spiritual journey. Because, of course, all of my books talk about life lessons and wisdom and changing your perspective and really seeing God's strategy. But this one is, I feel, the most, it has prayers in it, because I was releasing those weights of anger, offense, unforgiveness towards myself, unforgiveness towards other people. So it has a lot more, I'd say, like spiritual foundation in it, more than even the Tears That Taught Me, any other book that I have, because it's vulnerability. It's me saying, like, I'm tired, or I'm miserable, or I feel like I'm going in circles. And that's where a lot of us are, like, how we feel and say, okay, God, I'm doing all the things. I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm following what you say. I'm following ordered steps. I'm heeding ordered stops. I'm doing all of this. Why am I still struggling? Why don't I have that joy? Or if you had it, why don't you have it anymore? And this is, like, you'll see, this book is just, it's very raw, and it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot because, again, I wrote it during a fast, and it helped me to not only release it, but I feel people that have read it, it gave them permission to acknowledge and release it too. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be hurt. But when we live in it, when we dwell in it, when we allow it to impact how we make friends, how we see ourselves, how we view our family, that's when there's something that we need to dive deeper and release those weights and give them to God. Because number one, they're not ours to carry, and all it's going to do is weigh us down. So your book helped me get through a very tough time in my life. Always love all your books. Thank you. And I love sharing them. I love that I feel over the years a community has been created. As I'm saying this, I'm on Patreon. I'm sure I'm looking all over the place, but it really, I tell people all the time, people will tell me they read and they feel like, I felt this, I just didn't know how to say it, or I feel like I'm not alone. But I think it's something for you to know too, is that it shows me the same thing. For me to write these things, especially like my earlier books, I wrote them because I didn't understand a lot, like so many of those emotions and experiences were foreign, and I didn't trust people to properly handle them. And I didn't think that they would even understand what I was saying, to be honest with you. So it was easier for me to write them at the time in my notes, the app on my phone. It was easier for me to write them down than to speak them. But again, this is that season of speaking for me. This is that season where I have to be seen. I have to converse. I have to show up. I have to be uncomfortable, but still do what I'm called to do, whether people like it, appreciate it, believe it, accept it, support it, whatever it may be. I have to put my purpose to the forefront. So yeah, that's I think the great thing about all of the books. It helps you unpack your emotions, but also see that there's a reason for all the things that we go through. It doesn't mean that we have to like them. It doesn't mean that they're fair, that they're just, that you'll ever be okay with feeling what you felt or going through what you went through again. But if it was sent and allowed, what more is there? What's under the surface for us? So, and let me see on here if I have any other questions. I'm just going to refresh. And if you guys have questions, let me know. Yeah, Courtney said here, I'm very forgiving, but very cautious, not getting too close to people. Yeah, and that's hard. It's very hard whenever you want to be comfortable. You want to be yourself. You want to feel that freedom, right? Of just loving people, as crazy as it sounds. Whenever we've experienced what feels like fake love, or we've experienced seasons where we had to protect ourselves from people that we were protective of, it is hard to trust. It is hard to say that that was a situation, that was a season, that was whatever it was. That's not forever. Convince your nervous system of that. Convince your innermost thoughts of that. And that's why I always tell people, it's like, we have no idea how much our words, our absence, or interactions impact another human being. You can say something for 1 minute and it completely leave your mind, and that person replays it in their head for the next 10 years and uses it to condemn themselves. You can do something that you think is not a big deal, or it's just talk, and now that person just doesn't know how to function. We have to have a little more awareness and hold ourselves a little more accountable when dealing with people. So she said, most of the time, I don't know how to express my feelings, my emotions, but after reading your book, yeah, oh wow, this is exactly what I feel. And I read and it helps me get nearer to God. Thank you. And that's really the whole purpose, We all have something to say. We've all lived through things. We have all had to, make it through our own mess, our own mistakes, our own mess ups. We've all had to piece ourselves back together after it feels like people went out of their way to tear us apart. We have a lot more in common than I think we give ourselves credit for. And I feel like the world so much tries to divide us as people, when in actuality, there's so much to learn. There's so much to gain whenever you can be a safe person and be vulnerable and allow other people to be vulnerable with you. So, but it's exactly. How exactly can one fully move on from someone whom they envisioned a future with? Okay, and like all the responses always say, this is for a family, friend, relationship. I think it's as difficult as it is and as easy as it sounds, you have to accept what is. I'm going to use this from a family friend perspective, right? There are people I remember in high school, in college, in my 20s that I thought that they would be in my life forever. Because why wouldn't they? I thought that one day I'll have kids and they'll be playing with their kids. I'll do all these things. You make plans, you plan all your milestones and you just know that they're going to be there, right? And then you get to this point or this season where you realize that friendship, that relationship, whatever it may be, is expired or it's toxic or it's not right for you. And you have to let that person go or those people go. It feels in a lot of ways you're mourning their loss, not just for who they were, but who you thought they would be, where you thought they would be, how you thought they would be. So it seems like the world moves on, but you're stuck because it's almost like I didn't expect for you not to be here with me. I thought that I would do all these things with you alongside me. And these people, these friends, whoever this person is, this could be years out of the picture. But I think whenever your heart and mind expects or plans to have someone there, and then they're not for whatever reason, you have to give yourself time and space to accept that and mourn that and be okay with that. Hey, my cousin's on here. Hey, Devon. Let's see. Is that? Yeah, that looks like Devon. But yeah, it's a process. It's a process that a lot of us go through, and it's a process, honestly, spiritually, that a lot of us go through. I was talking to one of my friends today, and we were talking about fasting and praying and releasing. And we actually got on that subject of family and friends and how it's hard sometimes for us to not guilt ourselves for moving forward without certain people. It's hard for us to say, man, I went to school with this person forever. I thought they would be here. And now I'm doing these things in my life. And even though we're not close, I think about them. I still want them to do well, but not to the point that I'm willing to sacrifice the peace or the focus that I have in my life. It's hard to say that when you even have family, aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, parents, that you really want them to be a part of what you're doing. You really want them to be there, but you understand that them being there could be one of the greatest distractions in your life, could bring you to an unnecessary depression. It could do a lot. And what he left me with was the importance of understanding if God takes something or someone out of your life, if you bring it back there, no matter how badly you want it there, you're asking for chaos. You're asking for trouble. You're asking for warfare, because that's disobedience. So it's a process. Oh, yeah. And Devon, you're going to have to send me your number. I literally thought of you last week. I told my dad that. So send me your number and a message so I can call you after this. But yeah, it's just life lessons, guys. I think that if we would be more open about them, if we would say that we're maybe excelling in one area, but still trying to figure out in others, if we would say that we have faith, but we're still struggling to fully release control, I think it would make it a lot easier for us, but I think it'd make it a lot easier for the people that we're connected to, because that's what having faith is. That is what, learning and growing and purging and pruning is. It's uncomfortable. It's healing, but it's painful. It's messy. It's confusing. It's misunderstood. It's oftentimes mishandled, but that's what it is. And you can't let what you see or what you feel lead you to stop pursuing what God has for you, no matter who doesn't get it, no matter how uncomfortable you are. You have to stay the course. So I say all of that, again, to bring up the point that I got on with, that this is your season to leave that thing behind. This is your season to leave your anger, resentment, regret. This is your season to leave that insecurity, to leave the need to have people seeing you as you are, the need to leave that desire to be liked, loved, respected, and held in high regard, the need to leave any negativity behind. This is that season for you. And you do not need to be guilty. You do not need to be, you don't need to beat yourself up or condemn yourself for releasing what's not yours to hold. Because if it was for you and it was from God, it wouldn't be bringing chaos. It wouldn't be bringing depletion. It wouldn't be bringing all these negative things. So leave that behind. And these next steps of your journey, give yourself permission to take them and embrace them and show up as the person that you were created to be. So I say all that, and I will be on next week. And also, I want to invite you guys to my Patreon. Just like we have these conversations, Patreon is for us to have more intimate conversations, more vulnerable conversations. And that's where you'll get exclusive writings, you'll get videos, you'll get one-on-one video chats on Patreon. So I encourage you to go there, join the community, make friends, and join this journey with me. So I will see you guys next week, and love always.